Some of you keep asking how I landed an internship in Germany with zero experience and barely any German. 1.5 years. That's how long it took. Hundreds of applications, more rejections than I can count before I walked into a role at DHL. So, in this video, the 5 mistakes that nearly cost me that offer. One of them is a single LinkedIn button I wish I had started using months earlier. And here's where it started. Mistake number one. I thought having the right skills would be enough. So when I came to Germany, I genuinely believed that if I had the degree, build good projects, and develop the right technical skills, eventually I'll get an internship. And honestly, that wasn't completely wrong. But I was missing one thing, and that is German. Let me give you a real life example that actually happened with me. So, I got an interview with Audi. The interview went very well. At the end, they asked me one question: what's your German level? I said A2. Nothing dramatic and awkward happened. The interview continued normally. I walked out thinking, okay, I might actually get this. A few weeks later, rejection email came in, and that was the moment I started looking at the whole process differently. I realized that technical skills might get me into the interview, but they weren't necessarily enough to get me through the doors. So after that, German stopped being something I would learn someday. It became part of my internship. Mistake number two, I wasn't even pressing this apply button on LinkedIn. So when I first started applying, I used to skip it. I thought LinkedIn would just send me a bunch of unnecessary notification. So I never really bothered. But after a month or two, the number of application I was doing started increasing, and I realized I couldn't keep track of everything anymore. So I didn't want to maintain another Excel sheet just to remember which job I had applied to and which CV I had sent, and also what the job description actually said. And honestly, there was one more reason. I didn't even like tracking everything. So when you see hundreds of application written down in an Excel sheet or a OneNote sheet and almost no replies, it is a bit demotivating. So I started using the apply button on LinkedIn because it keeps track of of job posting of what you have applied. And after I started doing this consistently, something interesting happened. Recruiters started reaching out to me directly. One recruiter contacted me about an internship, and then another one. At that point, I went back and looked at my LinkedIn activity and started wondering whether this dots match or not. And in my case, once I started actively applying and keeping my profile up to date, I started getting more recruiter outreach. So, my advice is simple: don't just search for jobs on LinkedIn, actually apply, keep your profile updated, and make sure recruiters can see that you are actively looking, because sometimes you don't have to find the recruiters, they'll find you. Mistake number three, I would wait for the perfect job description, and there is nothing like perfect. So, whenever I would find a job posting, I would go through the requirements very carefully, and if there were even a few skills I didn't have, I would think, okay, I'm probably not a good match, and I wouldn't apply. But that's a mistake, a big mistake. You should never wait for 100% match. Think about it this way: if a company lists 10 skills, they are describing their ideal candidate and not necessarily the person they are actually looking for. You might be missing two, three, or even four and still be a very strong candidate. I learned this the hard way. So, when I applied for my current role at DHL, the job description mentioned SQL, Snowflake, Jira, and few other tools I don't remember right now. So, I knew SQL only. I didn't know Snowflake, I didn't know Jira, and those were the top requirements in the job description, and I still applied. Then, during the interview, they actually asked me about them. I could have tried bluff my way through it, but I didn't. I simply told them, no, I haven't worked with Snowflake or Jira before, but I do have a strong SQL experience and I understand how SQL is used for data analysis. And they still hired me. So the lesson is very simple: don't reject yourself, just because you don't match 100% of the job description. Apply first and let the company decide whether you are a fit or not. Mistake number 4, I kept waiting to apply. So, when I was doing my part time job, I used to find really good job openings, quickly scan the job description, save the ones that matched my skills, and tell myself I'll apply when I get home. And honestly, that sounds reasonable. But when I got home, I was tired. I had to cook, do other things, and sometimes I just didn't have the energy anymore. So I would tell myself, I'll apply tomorrow morning. And more than once, when I opened the posting the next morning, it was already gone. One example that stayed with me and will forever was a data analyst position at Flink. I was waiting for a referral from someone I knew, and by the time I got a response from him, the job posting had already closed. So I had waited for one extra step, not more, and I lost the opportunity completely. And I had this happen with other big companies too, including roles at companies like Siemens, Mercedes, BMW, and that were genuinely strong match for me. So I learned one simple thing. Don't confuse between I have the time to apply and this job will be available tomorrow. If the role is a strong match, apply first and worry about the rest afterwards. Don't let procrastination make the decision for you. And the fifth mistake is probably the one you have heard 100 and 1,000 times already, your CV. So, I'm not going to give you another 10-minute lecture on CV formatting. I'll keep this quick and simple. But I'll tell you what I learned after sending hundreds of applications for last 1 to 1.5 years in Germany. Don't look for a magic pill that is a magical German CV template that guarantees an interview because there isn't one. Keep the format clean, tailor the content, and make every application intentional. I've changed my CV 4 or 5 times, and honestly, this topic deserves an entire video on its own. So, if you want me to show you exactly how I changed my CV over the past couple of years and how I tailor it for each job, let me know in the comments. I hope some of this helps or at least reminds you not to give up. So, when it feels like nothing's working, if you have questions or you want me to actually break down how I changed my CV over the years, drop it in the comment section. 1.5 years after I started applying, I was sitting in that building not because I had the perfect CV, because I stopped waiting for perfect and just started applying.